Hey everyone, it's Christine with Moonshine Safari and
Anthony from Moonshine Safari.
woohoo, we are up to Chapter 8 in Outlander. Just as a reminder, there's always spoilers for both the books and the shows, and if you don't like being spoiled, you shouldn't watch and you shouldn't, or you listen and you shouldn't be one of our kids. So, just as a quick note, I've been meaning to bring this up. As a recurring theme in these books, and this started from the very beginning, and it's going to go all the way through, there's this theme that comes up all the time of people being adopted and or raised by people that are not their biological parent. You have Claire, whose parents died in a car accident. She was raised by her uncle. We know that. You also so far have Roger, the little boy at the vicarage in 1945, whose parents had died during World War II. He also was raised by his great uncle. And then now we have Hamish, which Claire knows technically Colum is sterile and impotent. So Hamish is probably not his. I'm just kind of bringing that up because it's going to come up with more people as well. And I think it's an interesting recurring kind of a thing. Basically, Chapter 8 begins with Claire laying in her room and realizing that she's enjoying the doctor work that she's getting from Colum. She's enjoying being the healer of the castle. She's thinking about the day before. She finds at least that the work is familiar. She knows how to fix things most of the time. She might not have the modern stuff that she had in 1945. Funny that you say modern now because it's 80 years ago. But it's modern to her. She still enjoys the work. She enjoys just saying, okay, this is broken. Let's splint it. Let's take care of it. She's thinking about Colum. She feels like Colum is tough. He's definitely got a lot of pain that he deals with on a daily basis, but he's still in charge. She knows what his illness is, which this takes me back to what I first brought up. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It's some French name of a disease named after somebody. In 1743, when Claire he wasn't even born yet. So it hadn't been named yet. But this particular illness means that the people who suffer from this are pretty much always impotent and always sterile. So Hamish looks like he could still be a Mackenzie, so she's pondering that. Red hair. Actually, there's a comment in the book that he looks like Dougal a little bit. So there's a boy that comes to tell her that Colum wants her to come for some singing and some entertainment that's going to be in the hall. She thinks, what the heck? Sounds good to me. I'm on my way. Colum invites her to sit with her. He's glad to see her. He's actually very genuinely friendly, congenial, but again, he's always thinking. The Mackenzies are always thinking about stuff. They're very clever, sometimes a little scary, just saying. So Colum offers her some wine. It hits really hard. It's really good, but it hits hard. It's funny because if you actually ever listen to any of the Audible books, I think the actress that portrays Claire does a good job at making herself sound like she's starting to slur just a little bit.
She does. It's true.
And it's not hardcore. It's not over the top, but you can kind of hear it. Like if I was hearing somebody, I'd think, oh, how many of you have? She's already finding it a little tough to talk. And while they drink, Colum is asking her more questions. Where's her family from? Claire remembers Frank, and Frank said, look, because he was in intelligence, stick to the truth as much as possible. Only vary where you absolutely have to in order to not have to remember so many details that you've made up.
How long has she been there now?
Really not very long. I mean, I would think less than a week. It's been fast.
And she remembered Frank.
She still remembers. Are you impressed yet? You still remembers?
No, I'm not. It's been a week. Anyway.
Oh, shoot. But what's interesting is Colum is asking the same questions, maybe like any interrogator, kind of hoping to trip her up if he says it more than once. Because at one point she goes, I told you that. He goes, oh, so you did. And then he moves on. So he just wants to see if her answers stay the same. Claire's saying she kind of wants to go back to wherever she can get back to Inverness, because Inverness is as close as she can get to Craignadun and get to the stones again. Colum says, let's have a little wine first. You're going to have to stay a little while, but there's really no hurry. It's not going to snow anytime soon. You'll be able to get through. It's no big deal. But I tell you what, give me some names of your family in France and we'll write to them. And obviously that's a hard stop. Claire's like, no, that's not going to happen. So she just kind of blows it off and says, well, I'll have to get those for you later, and kind of doesn't want to talk about it anymore. So the entertainment comes in. He's got instruments and all this kind of stuff. Claire has kind of already excused herself. She's no longer sitting with Colum. So she sits by Lyra, our friend Lyra, who had almost gotten punished by her dad for loose behavior until Jamie took the punishment. She can see that Lyra is focused on Jamie, and so Claire stands up and waving to Jamie and invites him to come over and sit by them. You can tell, again, she might be just a smidge on the tipsy side. Right at this point, Jamie's also new at the castle. He's been at the castle when he was a lot younger, but this is his first time at the castle again. So as long as Claire's been there this time, Jamie's been there this time, although he's still a Highlander. This is his time. He belongs in this time, and he's been in this castle. Look, Colm and Dougal are his uncles, so it's not like he's unknown. But they're listening to these songs, and Jamie's kind of doing some interpretation for her because they don't always sing in English. As a matter of fact, I think at one point it was Welsh, sometimes it's Gaelic, it just depends. So the songs are talking about the fairies and the legends, but there's stories about travelers, and it always seems to be women, so Claire's questioning if that always just happens to the women. This woman is in the song is singing about the folk stealing her, and it's always 200 years. It always seems to be about 200 years, but the song talks about them coming back. So all of a sudden she's really excited. She's like saying, you can come back. It means maybe I can go back, which she was going to try anyway, but now it gives her a little bit more hope. So she knows back to the stone. Got to get back to the stones, and guess who she wants to go back to? Wants to go back to Frank.
Jamie?
She wants to go to Frank.
Jamie. Gotcha.
So she takes another
Frank
drink.
who? Which Frank? Frank who?
Frank who?
Frank who?
Po Frank. Po Frank.
If you want to support our blog, go to moonshinespar.com and buy a Frank who t-shirt.
Frank. Question mark Frank.
No, I'm serious.
I know. I think, okay, Frank who, it's actually pretty funny. So she takes another drink of her goblet, and Jamie tells her, you better be careful. Colm's wine is extra strong. It's double strength, as a matter of fact, because Colm takes it because he has a lot of pain, and that's kind of one of the ways he deals with it. And he's surprised that she's kind of awake. And Claire can hold her liquor, but this is still really strong. So Jamie tells her that he's going to take her back to her room. And he goes to take her to a room, and Lyra's not too happy about this, development, but what is she going to say? And actually, when he gets to her room, he reminds her that he needs to have his bandages taken off. Well, she had gone to the horse paddock earlier to take them off, but he didn't want them taken off in front of Alec, and now he's ready to have them taken off. They're kind of bothering him. And she asks him, she goes, why didn't you let me take it off before? And he says he doesn't always like for everyone to see the marks on his back. Alec knows he was flogged, but he's never seen it, and he's always afraid that people are going to treat him differently if they actually see the marks. He didn't really want Alec to be part of that. It makes Claire realize how hard-headed it's been for him to deal with, and she looks again closer at gets to see him with his shirt off.
You see, I know why the English saw the Scots as barbarians, because when you made me watch the Bridgertons, that they couldn't be, the men and the women could not be alone, or they would be ostracized from the court and society and everything else in the world. But the Scots don't care. They don't care.
You're like, come in, look at my naked, my naked back.
Yeah, come in here, married woman, stranger.
Well, she is widowed, theoretically.
Take a gander at my wee scars.
You want to see my scars. So she says that his arm is healing well and that he can go. So the next day, she's exploring the castle, kind of around. She notices in an alcove that Jamie is making Huggy Bear Kissy Face with Lyra. What is it? You don't kiss crazy? Is that the...
Well, that's the clean version.
We don't know that much about Lyra yet, but boy howdy, that was probably a bad choice. Okay, so then later at the supper, she's sitting with Alec and Jamie, and everybody's eating, and she's giving Jamie a hard time. She's using innuendo. She's telling him, "Oh, why does your mouth look swollen?" Jamie's kind of trying to under the table stomp on her foot just a little bit, just tell her shut up. And Alec's acting like, you find out later he's acting like he doesn't know what they're talking about. He goes, because Claire says, well, why would the horse hit you in the face? And Jamie's like, you never know. And Alec's like, well, if you can't control the horse, and that's supposed to be your job. And so they kind of go all around this. And then as soon as Jamie leaves, Alec looks at Claire and goes, don't give him a hard time. If any of Lyra's people hear it, it could be trouble for him. Claire thinks it might be a little bit funny.
Why does she care?
Right. It's not coming across well. It comes across jealous is what it comes across. Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, in the show,
I would agree.
It definitely is jealousy. And what?
None of her business, really. It's none of her business.
Poor Frank.
Frank.
Po Frank.
Frank.
Po Frank. Po forgotten Frank.
Oh, Frank. Frank's just standing on the other side of the stones going, the heck, man. So he tells her not to give him a hard time because really Lyra is not the person he needs to marry. And Claire says,
don't give him a hard time. He's a slut.
This is a little, why shouldn't Jamie marry Lyra? And Alex says he needs to marry a woman, not a girl, and Lyra's always going to be a girl, essentially. That is how the chapter ends for chapter 8. Next time we'll pick up with chapter 9. We are still going to be in episode 3 at this point. I hope you're enjoying it. Did I miss anything?
Light a little candle for Frank.
Light a candle for Poe Frank. Well, he's not even alive yet, to be fair. I mean...
But we know he is.
But he's not.
Poe Frank.
But he's not.
But we know about him.
We do know.
We know about him.
We know he's a-coming. Frank's a-coming.
Oh, Poe Frank.
Check out moonshinesafari.com for some of our fun Outlander stuff. And the rest of the episodes if you want to catch up.
Yeah, there's a place called Blog Merch. Go find it.
It'll be fun.
Yay.
Talk
See
to you
y'all.
later. Bye.